I didn't even go get the notebook. I meant to get the notebook about 20 minutes ago. It's over here. I need this essential bit of set dressing. Can't start without it. Right, so we're going to try another video, right? Now, I've actually written notes this time. Look, I've actually written exactly what I'm saying here. Last time I looked at what might define regional comedy. But today, we're going to strip it one back and we're going to try and understand what it is that actually defines comedy itself. Alright, I'm going to give you a little task. I'm going to ask you to define comedy in one word. Just think of one word that you think defines comedy. So you got 10 seconds, man. Starting now. Take your time, man.
Time's up.
Okay, what'd you come up with? Do you need more time? Take as long as you need, bro. Just press back on the keyboard. Take your 10 seconds as many times as you want, but I can't really hang around, I've not got the time. Oh, and also, if you just press forward on the keyboard and go 10 seconds forward and steal my answer, I'll know, right? I'll notice, right? Right. I think I know what you were going to come up with. Were you going to say funny? Because, well, that's good, but it's not quite right, because you got to think just a little bit further. And what actually is it that makes something funny? So to me, I think in this case, the answer is subversion. Comedy is about subverting your everyday experience of the world we live in. It's about subverting the logic. It's about subverting your logical expectations, logical understanding or expectations of a given premise or situation. How many words did you bloody write here, man? Comedy is about subverting your everyday understanding of the world we live in. It's about subverting the logical expectations of many given premises or situations. So I'm going to show you a clip, right? And I'm going to ask you, what do you think is subversive about this clip? Right? Easy.
Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody loves Please let me do it.
I can remember that clip being a lot funnier than it actually was. To really understand this definition of comedy, we're going to look at a couple of classic examples. I always think if the classics are timeless, there's probably a reason. And if you can still laugh at something that's maybe 60 or 80 years old, that's probably because it's captured the essence of what truly is funny. Oh mate, I just realised the noise in my laptop is my laptop. Have you had to listen to this the whole time, man? That's loud. I've just closed that. Where were we? What was I saying? Ah yeah, right. So to understand subversion, we have to understand the technicality of comedy. All good comedy has a structure, a rhythm, and a pace. Some might condense this down into just timing, but there's a little bit more than just timing. Jerry Seinfeld has often said that comedy or joke writing is scientific in that it can be approached or understood like a mathematical equation. And that does make a fair bit of sense if you think about it. Look at it a bit like Pythagoras' theorem.
The sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
That's a right triangle, you idiot! Go!
So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now let's say that c represents the punchline of a joke. You can't get there without knowing or using the sum of a or b. That's the rhythm of a joke. And the punchline, c, is a careful consideration, examination and application of parts A and B to construct the perfect joke. Now I appreciate that that's a very basic example in mathematical equation, but it's just a way for us to understand how saying a joke is like a mathematical equation actually demonstrates to you how that actually makes sense. Because I've said that to some people, they've been like, what the bloody hell are you on about? In order for something to be funny, there's rules that you got to follow. Look at these clips, right, and think about the rhythm of the jokes being told. And while they might not necessarily be funny, or you might not even understand what the guy is on about, just think of how there's a structure in all these jokes and how they get delivered and how that communicates the comedy across to you.
How about all those shows being canceled on TV? In all, 34 shows were canceled. It's the worst thing that's happened to television since Gentle Ben ate his acting coach. And it was real sneaky the way they canceled Hogan's Heroes. When they came up out of the escape tunnel, they found themselves in the unemployment office. And I play down the Springs a lot. You know they got over 16 golf courses in Palm Springs? They have so many holes there that the gophers have to wear skis.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to They Shoot Down Actors, don't they? The movie industry's annual handing out of the Oscars, or as it's known at my house, Mission Impossible. This is a beautifully gowned, elegantly coiffured gathering dedicated to the proposition that jealousy and envy shall not perish from the earth. And what tension! I haven't felt this much electricity since I backed into Glenn Campbell's guitar. Now, some great films have been nominated. They Shoot Horses is about people who dance all night. Anne of 1,000 Days is about a king who fights with his wife all night. And Midnight Cowboy is about a Texan who manages to keep busy, too.
Bob Hope's probably one of the only comedians that could make a joke about Eleanor Roosevelt's suitcase and it could make you laugh. And not necessarily because the joke's funny or because you've got an extensive knowledge Eleanor Roosevelt's traveling habits, but just because this guy is like a joke-telling robot. His delivery, his timing is perfect. Every single joke is structured the exact same way, so that every single time he says a joke, you can take something, you take this, you take that, you get that. That's Bob Hope. Subversion in this context is a little bit more difficult to define because, well, saying you got to follow a set structure and a set of rules doesn't really sound that subversive, but you got to think, out of all the rules there, the one main rule is we've got to break all the rules of the world that we live in.
I'm Jack Benny. I'm supposed to meet Dean Martin here.
Mr. Benny, did you hear the news?
What news?
The world is coming to an end in 5 minutes.
Operator, look I wonder if you can help me. The world is coming to an end in 5 minutes. Now, I just put a dime in a parking meter. It's for an hour's parking. Who do I call for a refund? The same to you.
Everybody, I think I smell some smoke back here.
So let me get this straight. You find yourself in the kitchen. You see an eclair in the receptacle, and you think to yourself, what the hell, I'll just eat some trash.
I'd like to speak to your manager. I'd like to speak to your mother. Tell her she should be embarrassed. She raised someone to act like a baby in public. You want to speak to the manager, please? Manager doesn't know what's going on. Haven't you ever worked anywhere before? You should open up more registers, and who's gonna work them? You think I'm the only one ringing you up because I called dibs? You want me to clone myself, or you saying you want to apply? Well, you see we're short-handed. Where's your resume?
You don't act or behave like that in public. You don't act like that at your job. You don't speak to people in public like that probably as much as you wish you could. So by putting yourself in that situation, and hearing the things that you can't say, the things you don't want to do, the things you can't do, well, that's subversive, isn't it? Unfortunately though, this rule can also apply to controversial, or I'm just going to say, evil comedians. Since what they say isn't funny, they might follow these rules of subversion and these rules of comedy and use them to such great effect that they can make people laugh at things which really shouldn't be laughed at. I'm not going to show any clips here, but you can probably think of a few examples yourself. But we're going to move on because we're not going to talk about this too much, right? So let's lighten the mood a bit and let's get back to what we're really saying. In terms of classic comedy, you can't get classicer, if that's even a word, or funnier than the Marx Brothers.
Cut the cards.
The Marx Brothers break all the rules of conventional filmmaking. They live in a world of perpetual chaos, without logic, without narrative drive, and with a very, very tenuous link to their own fictional world.
Hey, what's the matter? You don't understand English? You can't come in here unless you say swordfish. Now, I'll give you one more guess. Swordfish. I think I got it. Is it swordfish? That's it, you guess it.
Ugh. In a film like Duck Soup, there isn't even really any structure, is there? It's just sort of loosely ordered scenes that come and go, and they just sort of escalate and escalated madness to a purely chaotic finale. The film has no real need for a storyline, and the plot's just there as a crutch for the audience. And it's barely even a plot. Compare the first 5 Marx Brothers films to any conventional film. It's subversive because it defies the expectations that films actually have to be about something. Do they need plots? Or do they even need characters? Rufus D. Firefly isn't a character. He's just Groucho Marx. The film's meant to be an anti-war satire, but nobody cares about Rufus D. Firefly's politics or opinions or anything like that. It seems fairly essential to a film like that.
The country's taxes must be fixed, and I know what to do with it. If you think you're paying too much now, just wait till I get through with it.
Even he doesn't care. Even Groucho Marx doesn't care about his character. And he's the main character.
I'm Professor Wagstaff of Huxley College. That means nothing to me. Well, it doesn't mean anything to me either.
The Marx Brothers all seem to be aware that they're actually taking a part in a film, and we don't view them as separate characters. We view them as Groucho, Chico, Harpo, and the other one. What was it? Zippo? Zeppo? Oh, Zeppo, Zeppo. That kind of leads me into my next example. Apart from the fact that we can't physically take part in their world, there's no separation between us and them. There is no fourth wall. I don't need to explain to you what breaking the fourth wall is, right? Everybody knows that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Think of a cinema or a theatre space. When you're watching a film or a play, you got 2 walls on either side of you, and then you got the wall that you're looking at, and then there's us. But we don't exist. Conventional films or plays, they suspend our disbelief by just imagining that we're not there. We observe the story through a sort of giant metaphysical barrier that separates us from their fictional world. So when a character addresses the audience, or acknowledges they're in a film, or acknowledges the filmmaking process, that shatters the illusion and lets us be part of the film.
About to turn toward you lucky people. Fasten your safety belts. Don't be impatient, and please, no applause. You might miss the plot.
Magna cum laude.
Magna cum laude. That's Latin meaning, if you folks drive home after the show, be sure and use a car. What's this? This is an old character actor on the Paramount lot we try to keep working. He's supporting a large family, but I guarantee you this fellow will not be in the picture tonight. Well, sir, on with the show.
If I could find a sheriff who so offends the citizens of Rock Ridge that his very appearance would drive them out of town. Where would I find such a man? Why am I asking you?
Look, they're leaving us. All alone out here in the desert. No food, no water, no nothing.
Well, come on, let's start the sack race. Where do we go?
Let's hop over the hill and see what's doing. Must be a gas station somewhere around here.
Hey, what are you still hopping for? We've been out of those nets all day.
I know, but I want to keep my watch going. Say, how did we get loose with our hands and feet tied and everything?
If we told anybody, they'd never believe it.
Oh, let's not tell them, huh?
Shh. Proceed.
I can't go on. No food, no water. It's all my fault. We're done for. It's got me. I can't stand it. No food, no nothing. No food, no water. No food.
What's the matter with you anyway? There's New York. We'll be picked up in a few minutes.
You had to open your big mouth and ruin the only good scene I got in the picture. I might have won an Academy Award.
I feel like at this point, do I need to explain to you why that's subversive? You're probably calling to the train of thought quicker than me. You're probably smarter than me. Does that count as a fourth wall break? Probably not. Probably not, right? Because I've already been addressing it. See, doing it, I realise that's not quite as clever as I thought when I wrote it down. And do you ever notice that the fourth wall never gets broken in normal films? It's only comedies. Imagine if we were in Avengers Endgame, right? And Iron Man, in the middle of the film, just turned to the camera. He just started saying like, gee, if we managed to go back and find all the Infinity Stones, maybe we could reverse Thanos' snap and restore the world to normal. Captain America doesn't quip, Take on Thanos and his army all by myself? Who do these guys think I am? Superman? It's only done within a comedy context, and it's only funny because that defies our expectations of how characters should act or speak in films. We're not used to them talking to us like that. Alright, we're getting on a bit now, but I've got one more definition of how subversion defines comedy, and that's the application of cartoon logic.
Pointillism, a technique of using individual dots of pigment which, taken together, make an image.
Oh, Quad.
I think when you go to the movies, you should learn something.
We'll keep this one brief because I feel that the definition of cartoon logic kind of speaks for itself, right? Cartoon logic basically says, wouldn't it be funny if this thing that was impossible actually happened? Look at these clips.
Come on!
Bonnie, how do you keep getting back in?
I'm a drunk. I don't know nothing about how I do anything. Whoa!
It's an acknowledgement from the filmmaker or animator that we're not taking part in the real world, so real world logic need not apply. Visually, in the context of the film, the TV show, the cartoon that we're watching, these things unquestionably make sense. Even though we've never seen a cat get turned into a bowling pin, and we've definitely never seen a bipedal coyote paint a photorealistic landscape on the side of a cliff that turns into a tangible portal to another plane of reality that a roadrunner can run through, but he can't, and a truck can come through and smack him in the face, and he can survive. It's obvious, right? Only in an imaginary world could things like this happen. And it's funny because it's such a bold contradiction of the logic. Contradiction of our logical world of physical limitation. How difficult is it to remember that? Only in an imaginary world could things like this happen. And it's funny because it's such a bold contradiction of our logical world of physical limitation. I'm going to let Muhammad Ali sort of indirectly explain it to you. Listen to this.
We all live in our own world of limitations. Some people can see farther than others. So therefore, when people judge what I'm doing with their logic, it can't be done. Their reasoning says it can't or shouldn't be done. Their knowledge of history says it can't be done. So their reasoning, their knowledge, and their logic clashes with my superior belief. Therefore, the result is they don't believe.
I feel like that barely fits what we're speaking about, but I really like Muhammad Ali. I like that interview and I like that answer, so I'm just going to put that in there whether you like it or not. I'm in the driver's seat, I say what clip's going, right? That's a joke bit. These examples aren't the only way to define what makes something funny, but it's just a handful of examples that clearly demonstrate the influence of subversion and how that informs most types of comedy. There'll be lots of other examples, theories and practices out there that I've probably not thought of. And also, you don't have the attention span to watch me for another 5-10 minutes. I wouldn't watch another 5-10 minutes of this. So, let's wrap up and let's just get to the end. So what's your favourite comedies? What was it you thought made them funny? Do you think I've just been speaking shite for 15 minutes? Well, leave a comment below because I want to hear what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to leave a like, give it a comment, and if you want to see more, subscribe button's right down there. I'm not gonna guilt trip you into pressing subscribe, right? But this video took me about 10 hours. We'll leave it. We'll leave it there, bro. We'll leave it. Hoirzons. Messed up.